What if you were to wake up and realize that the map that you had been using was 10 years old? Well, that's the RV industry, the RV market right now. In the last few years, we have had a panic, a boom, and now an RV industry hangover. Units were rushed out. Corners were cut. They were. And buyers, a lot of buyers who had no idea of what they were doing and no idea of what they were getting into. So today I'm with Kevin Frazer, and I'm just going to lay it out there. There is no one in this industry more honest, more genuine, or more helpful than Kevin. Whether you're a first timer or if you have been burned, I hope this conversation can sort of be your compass, if you will. We'll zoom out to the macro. We're going to talk about supply, prices, why quality slipped, and what that means for you. Miss today's video and you'll risk stepping into what I call RV purgatory with endless payments, problems, and no peace. I hope you'll listen, maybe take some notes, and scan the QR code you see on the screen or hit the link in the description down below for my free RV resources and contacts. You can thank me later. So let's begin my conversation with Kevin Frazer from Cheyenne Camping Center, one of America's most trusted RV dealers. They really are, and I think you'll understand why. I read in the industry publications about how things are getting better in the RV industry. Where are we today? Because what a crazy last 4 years or so it has been. I'd like you to start with, where do you see the market today? And then we can talk about how we got here and maybe how we're going to get out of it.
Okay, this mess didn't start 4 years ago. We had a down year in 2019 mostly because of oversupply. The industry built too many and things backed up. And then we got to 2020, and 2020 started out as a very unusual year. Nobody knew what was happening, and then the bottom fell out. If you'll recall, the pressure concerning the COVID virus was first manifest in December of 19, but then it accelerated all through the first part of the year. The bottom fell out of the market. The bottom fell out of the economy. People didn't know what the hell was going on. And we got into the spring of the year, and then it was decided that really what we need to do was all get in our RVs and go out in the country where there's no virus. And that caused a boom in the RV industry. And that boom was fueled by people that probably shouldn't have been buying RVs. If we got a call from somebody that lived in Brooklyn, New York, and their yard was 7 by 8 feet, I told them, maybe you're not, but no, we got to have a camper because we got to get out of COVID land. The boom accelerated throughout after the first few months of 2020, and it accelerated into 2021. And it went crazy.
And the manufacturers were making stuff hand over fist.
As fast as they could. That didn't matter to them. Some of the stuff that was created, the stuff that was built, was so beyond any kind of quality standards that it was breathtakingly bad. Now, I'm a homer for Forest River. You know that.
Right.
Warren Buffett's company is the best maker of RV. We've been exclusively Forest River. Well, since there's been Forest River, 96. And I do love them, but there were divisions of Forest River that went dark. And they would build stuff just to get it out the door. You would go through a model year with tremendous changes so that stuff that was built at the beginning of the 21 model year bear little resemblance to the stuff that was built in the middle and built at the end. They were changing inputs and they were hiring people from everywhere that they shouldn't have been. And so we built many, many hundreds of thousands of units of crap.
That probably should not have been built. But
they shouldn't have been sold either.
But you can't, in a sense, you can't blame the manufacturer. I mean, the demand is there. People want to buy the stuff.
But let's talk about how that eventually led to our current situation.
Yes.
Because the market wasn't just oversupplied. It was like in the 21 model year, we built and sold 2 years of product. And then in the 22 model year, in February of 2022, Putin invaded Ukraine and the market was already slowing down. And when the war in Eastern Europe commenced, the light switch was off. It stopped. And all the 22s that had been ordered, and there had been a lot of them ordered, couldn't be sold.
Because
Because
the
there was no
manufacturers
demand.
assumed the demand was going to continue, the war starts up, and now the RV industry is caught pretty much flat-footed.
There are makers, and I'll tell you what their names are, that force the dealers to take stuff even though there is no apparent demand. It's going to happen, and you signed a contract. Oh boy. So what we had as a result of the end of the market suddenly in February of 2022, suddenly we had all those 2022s that were waiting for show season and spring selling that couldn't be sold until later that year, well into the 23 model year. So what happened to the 23s? They had to wait until 24.
So there's a backup.
A backup of one whole model year, one entire model. There's dealers that still have 23s in stock today, and there's a lot of dealers that got a bucket load of 24s in stock. Well, what's the value of a new 24 that's been sitting on a lot for a couple of years?
It's 2 years old.
Well, there's a lot of thoughts behind that, but usually in normal times, what happens is that you have inflation. Our very own Federal Reserve says you should be happy with 2% inflation. It's normal. It's good for you. And the inflation would have carried the price of the new 25 so high that those 24s that were left over and 23s that were left over would look like compelling bargains that you should buy.
Yes.
Well, no, that didn't happen, because what happens, inflation always causes a recession. Well, this time, inflation definitely added, but the proximate cause was the invasion in Eastern Europe. And so all of a sudden, you got inflation, which caused a recession, on top of a war, which caused inflation and recession. And they're backing everything up to the point where it's just, the market's just saturated. Meanwhile, because of that ruinous inflation, people are poorer. Now, I'm not talking about just people, because every time I read about the economy, I learn that Richie Riches, the people that are above middle class, are extremely well off.
Right.
Look at what the stock market did. Well, that's fine, but the guy that connects one pipe to another pipe, he saw his wages stagnate. He's our customer. We don't sell $300,000, $800,000 motorhomes. Our customer is backed up, and he's getting squeezed by all the inflationary pressures. And okay, what are the things that hurt people that they didn't see coming? Insurance rates.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Food costs. Now, are they backing up? All we want is stability. All we want is incomes to go up so that we can get there. But I think your question is, where are we going from here?
Well, I want to get there, but first, back then and up until the invasion of Ukraine,
Yeah.
interest rates were incredibly low, and people
Going up.
Yeah, going up, but still people were able to borrow money.
And
it was easy to borrow money. We hadn't hit 9% inflation yet.
That's true.
Okay, and the dealers are selling, many dealers are selling inferior products compared to what it was like before.
But inflation,
COVID.
9% inflation happened about 5 months after the invasion.
Yes, and then so it was like markets going the wrong way. You got the prices going up, but my income as John Q. Public stagnant.
Or worse.
So I'm losing every single
You're
month.
losing purchasing power. You click on the computer and you find out that your car insurance just went up $100 a month. $100 a month? Yeah. What the hell? And all of your income is being sucked up by things that are non-discretionary. And RVs are the ultimate discretionary thing, right?
Right.
You don't need one. Well, some people do, but you don't really need one. And that's what happened. And so we get to 2025. Now, I'm going to tell you stuff about Cheyenne Camping Center that's Cheyenne Camping Center. Whenever there's a recession, and we've been doing this since 1966, we're always the first ones in. So the horror show that just beat everybody up in 23, or well, actually, we got beat up in 23 when other dealers didn't really notice the horror until 24. So you asked about when are we getting out of it and how are we getting out of it? Well, so far our 25's been a little better than other dealers have been. And I'm hearing stories that tell me that what they're experiencing in 25 is very similar to what we had to go through in 23-4.
Now, why is that? Because it sounds like to me, because I remember after the invasion in Ukraine, you guys, it was hard because you don't take any deposits. I mean, you didn't require a deposit from people that were buying an RV and then they canceled, right?
No, we don't. We don't do business that way, no. So, yeah, we're always the first to get smacked, but I think you need to get to the basic reason why. Cheyenne Camping Center has, since forever, said we market to the smart people. The other dealers can have the morons. And the smart ones were the first to recognize that things had changed badly, and they were the first ones to back up. Now they're coming back because they're the smart ones that realize things are okay, prices have stabilized, and look at where I am. I'm fine, I can now afford that new Flagstaff. So when you say that we were the first ones to go down, it's because our customers are smarter than just the regular RV buyers. They're more deliberative, more aware of the situation. So now we've survived 3 bad years in a row, but along with the other RV dealers and manufacturers. And what's happened during those 3 years that gives the advantage to Cheyenne? Remember, in the mess first, out first. No matter what it costs, we held on to our people. The people that work here today are the same people that worked here 3 years ago. I get the calls all the time this year. How come you're the only ones that know the answers to my questions? And my sales and parts and service guys are the only ones that hear this. My operations manager said to me yesterday, if I didn't work here, I'd think our reviews were fake. Because we take care of people. And because we know what's coming at us, we've got our inventory controlled. 3 years ago, my inventory was a catastrophe because that war switched the switch.
That's why you were the first in.
First in, and first in badly.
Okay, so, I mean, I just got to bring up the elephant in the room. People, you're talking about smart people, there's a lot of people that just got their heads chopped off financially. They went in and they wanted to buy the dream, and they were so over their skis that now they're facing, you see it, we were talking about it downstairs. You see it all the time. People are upside down.
Oh, it's worse than just upside down. Let's cite just one example because it's from last Friday. Couples had their trailer for 5 weeks. And it was not purchased from Camping World, but it might as well have been. It's worth $33,000 and they owe $67,000. And it's the wrong camper. And their truck can't pull it. And it's got a rotten floor, even though it's new and should be under warranty.
Oh my God.
So how do you deal with a situation? I can't. I have to rely upon the fact that my customers aren't going to bring me catastrophe like that. But I also rely upon new customers. That's the other reason why we're back firstest. My customers are loyal to us, and my customers come back. In a normal year, about 70% of what we sell, new ones, are word of mouth, Akavosi. In the last 3 years, it's been over 80, sometimes crowding 90%, because the only people I'm talking to are
the smart people.
But the old customers too.
Yes.
We're not conquesting new ones. So what we're seeing in a higher percentage are the people that know who we are, know where we are, know what we'll do for them. And then we do the best we can, you know that.
How do these dealers, Kevin, the Camping World, the General RVs, these big massive chains, continue to sell these RVs to people. There's so much information out there on the internet now. I've done countless videos about watch out for this. You were the one that started it, about the truth video.
Yeah.
That how are they continually able to sell these people and put them in these financial graves?
Well, honestly, I believe that there's a more than a smidgen of fraud involved here. Here's where we're at. People aren't expected to be experts on confidence tricks. I don't expect people to be experts on confidence tricks, do you?
No.
So when they get into a high pressure selling environment, and everybody makes fun of the timeshare sales guys, well, timeshare sales guy is a consultant to the selling teams at the big chains how to do it. We used to do it this way, but they caught on to us, so now we'll do it with RVs. You're not expected to do that. They lure you in with a fake price, and then they add on $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of junk. An ESP, is an extended service protection plan a good idea? Sure, if it's 8% with call service, but not if it's 18 or 28 or 38%. What they're doing is the payment game. It's all about the payments, which brings us to who else is responsible besides these wicked dealers?
The banks.
The banks. Why are the banks doing this? Honestly, I don't get it. But banks and dealers, if consumers are being lured in with confidence tricks into buying a $17,000 trailer and having a $35,000 loan, obviously something very, very wrong happened.
But banks are doing it.
But the bank, now, why is the bank doing it? That has to do with quick money versus long term. And that's the story about, well...
Isn't that a time bomb waiting to happen?
Absolutely. But when it goes off, the people that are making the quick money...
They're gone.
They don't work for that bank anymore. This is the problem with the...
What a scam. What a scam.
Who's our shield? See, this stuff was happening in the 50s, the 60s. Car guys cleaned it up with franchise agreements. The 70s, we got a whole new body of law. You and I are old enough to remember how important this new body of law was sold to us.
The consumer protection stuff.
Damn Skippy. Consumer protection. We can't be aware of every confidence trick that very sharp predatory gangs are using. And if we get cheated,
we should be able to go to the Attorney General.
Well, more importantly, we have to go to the Attorney General. If some dealership group like Camping World does something truly outrageous, and I end up with a note that's for twice as much as the advertised price, how did it happen? You report these stories, but I hear them too. They don't know how it happened. They signed a paper that didn't agree with what happened. If you complain to Camping World, a battalion of ferocious lawyers will come your way. You will be intimidated. You will be frightened away. You won't do anything about it, or you'll settle for a pittance and a non-disclosure agreement so that you can't even tell people about what was done to you. The protection for that, as discussed and legislated in the 1970s, were consumer protection laws. Why do we have a consumer protection department in every one of the 50 states if they're not going to do anything about it?
Okay, I got to say, I have been writing attorneys general in different states, and I get a response. But without exception, every response, Kevin, I should have brought them with me today, is we checked with Camping World, and here's their response. And it's some boilerplate response that makes the Secretary of State or the Consumer Affairs people say, well, here's the response, nothing to see here. Everybody's happy. I'm like, that's not...
Everybody's not happy.
Everybody's not happy. But it's
No.
like they get paid to do a job, they don't do the job, and I'll look that way, you look that way, and we'll just keep on putting it to people.
Because the phalanx of lawyers that intimidated the buyer is there to intimidate the Attorney
consumer.
General.
Oh, well, the Attorney General, but
The
it's still,
Attorney General is not the person that does your case. It's an assistant AG.
yes.
And somebody that doesn't want to have their weekend ruined.
You mean he doesn't want to have to work?
Doesn't have to work. And this is the problem. We put our faith, the highly sophisticated hustlers in our society were to be fended off by our government, and the government's not doing the job. Now, other than the new Department of War, can you think of an agency of government that does their job? But political pressure can make this happen.
But so what does the public do? Because I've been sounding the alarm, you've been sounding the alarm before I did, about we're just trying to be smart, take in the information, be responsible. But when I tell people to contact their Attorney General,
They get the same crap you get.
nothing.
Nothing.
A form letter, sorry, nothing to see here. That's wrong. There's nothing that you've seen because you won't put the time into it. So what do? Just keep bitching? Seriously.
That was the 30,000-foot view, if you will, the truth about how we got into this mess. And here is the takeaway. The RV market doesn't care about your dream or mine, but it does care about people who do their homework. In part 2 with Kevin, we're going to drop down to, well, the street level, the money traps, the payment games, and how and why some banks and dealers want to keep you upside down. Before we get out of here, make sure you scan the QR code you see on the screen right down here, or click the link in the description below for my free RV resources and help page, along with links to great RV dealers like, of course, Cheyenne Camping Center. All right, that's going to do it for today. I do hope you enjoyed this conversation because it's only just started. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.